Hi, everybody. It's Nikki with Cringeworthy Calls, and I have to apologize right off the bat today that we've had to record this. I know you just love tuning in live, but because of scheduling and just life being busy in general, we wanted to get this ready because I'll be actually in an airplane when we were supposed to have this all live the last time. So pardon our interruption from a live perspective, but we'll do our best today in this recording. And as always, your feedback is always welcome. So after watching today's cringeworthy calls, we'd love your ideas, feedback, anything that works well for you as far as answering those phones within your business. So today I am decked out in kind of my collegiate, you see my fun glasses, school. The university here where I live started classes last week. So it's kind of that fall in the air feeling. And actually today is the fall equinox. So welcome to fall officially. I'm not necessarily a fan of this time of year because I love lots of sunlight. And so the days are getting shorter. And I don't necessarily believe in pumpkin spice latte either. So those of you enjoy that during, great, but I'd prefer it being sunny and warm and the sun lasting till 9:30 at night. So anyway, just a welcome to fall. And that got me thinking, as we're moving into the end of the year, 11 months ago, we started Cringeworthy's Calls. So we're in our 11th episode. So hopefully we won't jump the shark today. Those Gen Xers and older folks probably remember that from the show Happy Days. But we have some good information we want to share with you today. And I'll go ahead and share my screen, okay? With a new year approaching, I'm hoping we can replace that picture. Time for a new photo shoot. Although it kind of shows how I feel sometimes with the calls that we listen to. So anywho, but here we are with Cringeworthy Calls, episode 11. And today's topic is discussing pricing with clients as they call into our business. So we have our usual top 3 countdown of our Cringeworthy Calls and a specific focus on pricing discussions today. So again, we're dead ringers. And our job is to really help our clients and those of you listening out there today, good ways to connect with folks as they call into your business and get away from these missed opportunities to really do an amazing job once that phone rings till when you hang it up. And there's lots of magic that happens in between those 2 points. So we are in the business of secret shopping our clients and taking a good hard look at what we can do to improve phone skills all across the board within an organization, whether we do remote training or whether we do live training. And unfortunately, we haven't had much live training with the pandemic in place, but we have been jam-packed with training. Did 3 last week virtually, and we have 3 next week. We're excited to be offering great training and really connecting, hopefully in a interactive way. It's kind of hard with Zoom, right? So move on here. My favorite gal, Nancy Friedman, the telephone doctor. This is a quote from her, and we share it on every episode because we feel it's that important. And if there's a phone on anyone's desks or in their pocket, because we know more and more that phones are a way of life, they should be trained to use it. And not necessarily what to say, but actually how to use the equipment. I'm seeing more and more of that becoming an issue as folks move to online platforms with their phone systems, much more intricate systems in place with the equipment. So you have folks out there using your phone. I always say, imagine closing your eyes and you're not at the business that day and who's answering the phone and are they trained to use it? So going to recap what we left off with in our last episode, episode 10. And it was a part of the 6 pillars of personalization, of customer experience. Sorry, personalization was the topic. I had so much fun with that one. I feel it is so important to personalize calls as folks call into the business. So This is the last pillar we covered out of 6. I'm going to briefly go through the others before we move into the pricing discussion, but it's a focus on the individual to create an emotional connection with the customer. We had some great examples and ways that we can connect with folks. And I think Zappos is probably one of my favorites, and how far they go to make a personal connection with their customers. Show that you understand their specific needs. And there can be no personalization without quality data. And I think there's a science behind personalization as well. And if you aren't collecting client information, understanding what those last conversations were, if they're reviewers, is so important. Knowing if they're calling in with a complaint all about the product, past purchases that they've made, takes a little work, but more and more, and we have some statistics to show you later, phone interaction is still probably high on the list of ways people contact a business and actually purchase that way. So briefly, we covered the 6 pillars of customer experience. They say the linchpin of all of those is number 1, personalization. However, we took them from the bottom to the top, focusing on empathy first, because we felt, especially within the main thrust of clients that we work with in the death care profession, that empathy is just lacking, and the importance to show that you care. Time and effort. Do you require all your customers to do the heavy lifting when they contact your business? So my favorite in this is, you call a card company, you ask me to enter my credit card information, I get a customer representative online, and what do? They ask me for my information again. And little things like that can really provide bad experiences for folks calling into businesses. One is resolution. And the concept that we talked about in length is having first call resolution. So as a consumer, we aren't calling in and having to talk to 4 or 5 different people to get something reserved, taken care of. Also, do we have to call back? Is there certain things that we have to do, information that we have to provide as consumers? So much time and effort to get into a business. And some of that time is hold time. When I mean that, hold time on the phone, where we're sitting and waiting to actually speak with someone. Just a quick minute here. Our colleague, Paul, is a frequent flyer, and he called into a large airline company recently, and a lot of them have the intricate systems to let you know how long you'll be placed on hold, and they will break in to say, okay, you are number 743 on the list. And in this particular instance, they told him his wait time was 30 hours. Can you imagine? So again, time and effort, making it easy to do business. Okay, the 4th key pillar in customer experience is resolution. And we talked at length about what we can do to provide solutions to customers that are calling in. One way to think about that is having what's called first call resolution. So as a consumer, I'm not calling over and over again, or being transferred all over the building to someone to get a problem solved. And that does feed into time and effort. If I'm on hold forever, resolution can be an opportunity for you to provide excellent customer service. Sometimes if I do a good job with that within my business, that can create a good relationship with someone. So resolution is a key part of the customer experience. Setting expectations, and we do that. So if I know that I'm going to call in and it's going to be a bad experience, I'm expecting that. And that tends to happen a lot, let's say with cable companies or phone companies. So, we know calling in that it's going to be a long hold time. It's going to be maybe hard to understand the person on the other end of the phone. So we set expectations around that. So what's best is to set really good expectations, knowing when I call in, I'm not going to get a menu to choose from. I'm going to get a live person. I think that's a great way to set expectations. And we have a funny video from a while back that I think is great, that we do train our customers in how to do business with us. And it was a fun video. It was actually a commercial of someone calling in thinking he's calling into a business and he's getting a menu. And so the gal answers the phone and does a little comedy act where she's pretending to be a menu. So anyway, thinking of those things where we can put a paradigm in place that this is how we're doing business. It's that you're going to connect with the human, right? Integrity. I think that speaks for itself. The golden rule, doing the right things at the right time. And then personalization, what you can do to really create a great experience in connecting with the folks calling in. So our discussion now is about pricing. So you think of all of those experiences that we create through the 6 pillars of customer experience, but if we can't articulate our pricing, I hate to use this word, but defend our pricing if things seem expensive. So knowing our pricing and knowing how consumers approach pricing, always thinking of maybe, I want this, that's not necessarily true with clients. And we're seeing that healthcare profession, and that we assume folks want the least expensive way, the least in choosing or selecting a service, when in fact, we just need to ask more questions to understand where folks are coming from. So with pricing, it's so important to be transparent with your pricing. And I know our folks in death care will struggle with this sometimes and putting prices online. And I've done extensive training on pricing and being able to be transparent about it. That being said, the profession tends to keep pricing to the chest, holding it secret. And if we think that our competitors don't have our pricing, they do. I think it's more important that we worry about consumers and how we articulate what our pricing means. So I like to give the example is the medical profession, and I go in for an office visit, I pay a copay, my insurance, I'm hoping will cover things. And then I'm surprised to get a bill after, well, I'm hoping my insurance covers that. And that recently happened to me, where I paid my copay, it was like $30, thinking hopefully that would take care of the situation for me. And I get a bill for $105 in the mail and really no explanation. So there's that lack of transparency. It's so important to be transparent. You have to know your pricing inside and out. And in a lot of the calls we make, no matter what profession or business it is, people stumble over what things cost. Now, if you go to McDonald's, their pricing is very clear. They're very transparent about their pricing. The folks helping you through the drive-through or at the counter are going to know their pricing. That may seem like a silly example, but you have what your offerings are, the prices memorized. And if they change, you study again, memorize those prices. And then you have to own your pricing. And what we mean about here is that you maybe as a manager or owner of a business, own the pricing because you've probably set the pricing, but it's important that your team owns it as well. And so if I, as a team member, think something's too expensive, I'm going to probably lead folks in a different manner just out of care in my heart to save folks money. And we've seen that happen as well. So you price something, what does that mean? What value do I get? So not just sticking a number on something and pricing it that way, but being deliberate and also being able to explain every little detail of why you're charging what you're charging. Okay.
Hi, is there a problem, sir?
Oh, yes. A question about the final total.
Yes.
You see, we didn't budget for this.
Excuse me?
This was marked 1999.
Yeah.
Well,
I've only got $7 set aside for this.
So what are we going to do today?
Well, I'd like the highlights, but for now, I can only pay for a trim.
Okay, so today we're only going to do the trim?
No, the highlights, but I can only pay for the trim.
I mean, how much of the taco stand was what?
About $12.
Yeah, right. About $12.
Sir, we're not the taco stand.
No, it was, I had beef, same thing as I had here.
You had the filet.
Yeah. Cow.
Let me make a phone call, see what I can do. Maybe I can get you $8.50. Can you do $8.50?
I'll pay for the highlights next time, but for now, I need you to just go ahead and throw them in.
So basically, you want me to work for free?
No, I don't want you to work for free. It's just a test. That way I can see if my husband likes it, and then you can roll the cost over until the next time I need color if he likes it.
I went through in line items some of the stuff that we would just remove.
I'm not making any money on this either. You got to help me out.
We gotta
discount bin.
I know, I've checked the discount bin, but I want this one. We can do this. This is not a challenge. This is an opportunity. We tried with 3.
Yes, you ordered 3 entrees, sir.
We ordered, but it's order mean eating. Yeah, we want.
What's your name?
Todd.
Todd. You got to work with me.
That one's $19.99.
Mike, come on, let's do this. Let's do this.
Dude.
Well, I can cover your hard costs, but that's really as far as I'm willing to go.
I'll give you $8.50 today. I'll come back next Tuesday. We're going to make it up on the next one. What do you say?
What?
Excellent. Well, go ahead. We'll pay this time, but what we're going to need you to do is show us how you made it, so we can do it on our own in-house from now on. You did?
No, I said, consumers aren't necessarily all focused on price, but what I like to think about with this fun little video is understanding what your prices are and being able to explain it to people and not cutting corners just to make folks necessarily happy. And I know that we tend to want to do that. We don't want to lose the business, but however, that can dilute your business model. We can't be all things to all people. I've had lots of debates about that. It's just, we're not all the same. We're all unique in the way that we approach a business. But I mean, this is kind of fun in that, do consumers, how much do they really know what's involved in everything that we offer? So there's a concept, and you can see the little anchor. It makes me want to talk like a pirate, but I won't do that. I'll expose you to that today. There's a concept called anchoring. It's also known as focalism. And some of you may have heard this term before, but anchoring is something humans do when they hear a bit of information in an original discussion or whatever that might be. And we focus on that information and we think of it each time something's added on to a particular discussion. Now, an easy way to think about that is if you tell me something's $12,000 and that's kind of the low end of your spectrum, I'm going to compare everything else that you talk about to that $12,000. And I think a fun example of this is a car lot and going to purchase a car, and you see an ad on TV, you see an ad on the internet, and it says, here's the price for this particular car, and maybe it's $30,000. You get on the lot, and there's all these other little hidden costs involved in the vehicle. Well, if you want the windows to roll up and down, we have to add another $5,000 on. So again, no, I just want to purchase what you'd mentioned as a part of that. And then if you're wanting to talk and negotiate with folks, if you're leading with that lowest price first, everything that you talk about going forward is anchored in your lowest price. So I like to think of it from a Goldilocks perspective, focusing on the price that is just right, the one that's in the middle or whatever that might be. To give an example of pricing for your particular organization and the opportunity to move up or the opportunity to move down. So again, we rely too much on that initial piece of information as consumers. And one thing that I've mentioned to some of my death care folks is there's, and again, I may get pushback on this in some of the times I've discussed it, is again, that transparency that we talked about a while back, and the importance to be transparent is averaging your costs, let's say over a 6-month period. So you're using actual data with your clients, builds a sense of trustworthiness, some integrity in your discussions. So, one way you could approach that is over the last 6 months, we've averaged all of the costs that we have charged to the family, or prices that we have charged to family, and our average is around $7,800. So then that focalism, that anchoring starts at that particular price. So here's some statistics. We love those because we're very data focused and objectively focused at Dead Ringers. And pricing in a phone discussion is sometimes difficult. And we know that in that you can't interact from a visual perspective. Buying signals are sometimes physical signals. Having that nonverbal and having eye contact can be so important. However, we manage metrics in almost everything that we do. And one that we've captured is that 19% of the time when we're asking funeral professionals to provide pricing over the phone, we don't get it. And one thing I really feel is important here for my funeral director friends or enemies that are listening today is that almost 20% of the time you could be your organization. If you're not listening to your calls, it's something that you may want to consider doing, is that you're in violation of the funeral rule. And it's this little thing called the FTC. And some of those fines are very hefty if you do not provide your pricing information when it's asked for. Okay. So you need to be at a point where you are comfortable in providing pricing information. Again, not starting with the lowest pricing first, but finding a way that's comfortable for you to meet the requirement with the FTC, which is very important, and also do it in a way that benefits the family and benefits your business. Some other things that we took a look at as we prepared for today is that 81% of shoppers will conduct research prior to calling a business. And that research is done online. So I'm going out there, Nikki's on the Google today. I want to buy a high-end air conditioning unit and I'm pricing everywhere. I'm looking at Costco, I'm looking at Target, whatever those might be. And I am doing my own pricing comparison. But if I don't know about your business, why you may be charging an air conditioner at a price higher than someone else, is that you built in a guarantee with that, or whatever it might be that you're doing above and beyond. So no people are doing research before they even call the business. And 86% of the time, shoppers are willing to pay for a better customer experience. And I've used Nordstrom as an example in the past. And I can shop at Target, but if I want to return something or if I'm having an issue with that, talk about time and effort, I have to go in. There's certain things that I have to do that are not convenient to me. With Nordstrom, I recently learned that if I buy something in their store and I'm in an area where I can't get to a store, I can actually return it. Even though I bought it in the brick and mortar store, I can return it via printing a label off, putting it in a mailable pouch and sending it back to them and not having the inconvenience of doing that. So I'm willing to pay a little bit more to do business with someone like Nordstrom. Actually, Nordstrom Rack, because their prices are a little lower, but they're very solution oriented, not just understanding need for low cost things, but providing really good services. I have $100 in, alterations that I've saved up with them. So if I ever need anything altered with my clothing, I have a bank that's been built, and it doesn't even have to be their product. Okay, so I will always be a Nordy, as they call us. Okay. So we want you to understand with pricing that actual phone calls, and we love this statistic because this makes us very happy at Dead Ringers, is phone calls will influence $1 trillion in US consumer spending this year. So people actually calling into a business and purchasing via the phone influences $1 trillion. So I think a lot of times we think we push everything online, but necessarily how people want to shop still. Phone calls, when you have those as a business, will convert to revenue 10 to 15 times more than, let's say, a web lead that you might get. So again, using the phone can really help you as you think of your pricing and the way that you do things to convert phone leads to business, and being able to articulate your pricing is so important. And these types of things really feed into everything that we've talked about in our 11 episodes here on Cringeworthy Calls. So pricing questions can be really tough sometimes. And we hear a lot, why are you more expensive than someone else? Those types of things. And being able to use kind of what I call the interviewing questions, and that's who, what, when, where, how, and why. And, if someone, mentions that you are more expensive than someone else, I can create those types of things by asking questions. Have you done your research? Tell me about some other places that I've shopped before. What was your experience like there, and what did it include? How can I help you in understanding more of what the product offers? Where can I send you information? There's all kinds of great things that we can do to create good conversations around pricing using what we call open-ended questions. Okay, here we go. Our top 3 cringeworthy call countdown.
No rush, dude.
Right now, get 2 matzo burgers for only $6.
I think that's a cute little video. It's not necessarily the call, but we think these are fun lead-ins, and it's so important to know your pricing and what it means. And the sign is wrong. Let's hopefully your sign's not wrong when you're posting your pricing. So being able to articulate what it is that your price means is so important. So here's our first call.
Sure it is.
Yeah, why are you higher in price?
That's what it takes to keep my overhead, huh?
So there was a pointed question here from the consumer in this call that we recorded asking why they were more expensive than a competitor in there. And this was his way of explaining that. And overhead means nothing to me as a consumer. And I felt that that was almost a little standoffish, even rude, back to the professionalism and the integrity of what it is that we're doing. And secondarily, the use of hun just drives me crazy. That's a personal issue. But overhead is not a way that you explain what it is that you offer and why your prices are higher than someone else's. Take the time to explain your value. As I said, consumers don't care about your overhead. And one thing that we suggest that you do, and it's a homework assignment that you should do with everyone in your team that has to discuss pricing specifically over the phone, is to do what we call create your best only list. And when you get those kinds of questions where, you know, firm ABC down the street is significantly less expensive than you, saying, well, it's my overhead, hun, it's not the way to do it. But you can do that through best and only list. So brainstorming what it is that you do to provide the best in service that your competitors aren't offering, the only things that you do in your market that really shows what you're paying for, not just overhead.
Okay, either I get my drink or I get my money back. It's that simple.
I can reimburse you for your order.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's going to cost you $20.
Excuse me?
Your excuse.
Did you say
In order to reimburse you, I have to go into my system, look up your account, track the order, void it, and submit the claim to corporate.
so?
So don't you think I deserve $20 for my time?
Bro, I ordered a drink, paid for it, and it never arrived. I'm not paying.
Sir, please calm down. Please calm down.
Stop telling me to calm down.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you store credit.
I don't want store credit. I want my money back.
But I want a divorce. You know, we can't always get what we want.
You know what? I want to delete my account. I'm switching to Postmates.
No problem, sir. I can help you take care of that. Hold, please.
These are always fun. We love these little customer service Muppets, as my colleague Mandy and I are like, which one can we use this time? Because they're so funny, but they are on point. And I like to lead with this one. And sometimes in our pricing, we hear people toward competition. And in this case, the little puppet guy actually gave him over, physically gave him over to a competitor. And we've had this happen.
I mean, if it's, I mean, you can always plan it better, and it's nonsensical and it's COVID. But with cremains, you don't have to bury them right away. You can always go to a cremation society. They're a lot cheaper than the funeral home.
Okay.
You would just do the committal and everything right at the grave site.
Okay.
That's gonna be a lot cheaper for you, because most funeral homes, you got to realize funeral homes have a lot of overhead where these places don't. Let me give you a phone number for them. I think they're $895 for direct.
Okay.
That's all they do.
This one drives me crazy. And this is not the first time we've heard calls like this, and that he's discounting what it is that they offer and thinking he's doing what's best for the consumer and sending her to a competitor that's strictly low cost, in this instance, services. He didn't ask her anything. That's even how she wanted to go. So literally from a pricing perspective, sending someone to your competitor, the key thing here is asking those who, what, when, where, why questions instead of just rambling off what you think the consumer wants to hear. So people don't buy everything solely on price. And there's been lots of research on this. articulate what your prices represent. So again, that best only list. This particular price includes, and what those things that are included that are meaningful. And don't lead with the lowest price first. Think of that anchoring technique.
Thank you for calling USA Prime Credit. My name is Peggy.
What is problem, please?
Peggy? Sure. Well, suddenly it looks like I'm being charged.
$35 annual fee.
Yes.
Tell me it's a mistake.
Yes.
Are you saying yes? Are you asking yes?
Yes.
Peggy?
Want better customer service? Switch to Discover. Rank #1 in customer loyalty. It pays to Discover.
I've shown this several times in training, and if we aren't transparent, it's so important to explain fees and things that are involved. So just want us to keep that in mind as we move forward, the need for transparency. And literally just today, my husband had to do a transfer from one account to another within his own banking institution that he works with, and they charged him $10. He says that didn't really cost them anything. So what is it a particular fee, and what was it for me that benefited? So again, those hidden little things, the fees that we pile on to folks should have meaning. So our last cringeworthy call, #1, we're calling
She didn't know the pricing.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me pull up my price sheet here. Now, if you go online under services, you can probably pull up some. But let me look at what I have here. Just a basic cremation is what you're interested in?
I'm not sure what I'm interested in, but you know.
Okay. All right. Well, we have all different kinds of packages where if you wanted to have a service, then that would be added on or things like that. But a basic cremation, let me look right here. Well, shoot. I'm sorry, my computer's lagging on me. General price list. It's $29.95. And then you have, but there is also, if you go online, if you do everything online, there is let me look. I'm sorry. If you do everything online and you don't go through a director or anything, let me look it up. It's gonna be, I think this is it right here. It's $13.95.
Know your prices. Know what it is that you're offering. This lady seemed pleasant enough and friendly, but she did not know her prices and being able to articulate that. And then remember the time and effort that we talked about with the 6 pillars of customer experience. Not being able to get to the data, right away, and not having it memorized is so important. So know it inside and out, memorize it. Publish your pricing. I know that some folks are not comfortable with this, but publishing your pricing can make even these discussions much more worthwhile because there's that transparency, and the lack of transparency can cause a lack of trustworthiness. And then don't make your consumer go digging. She suggested that she go to the website and none of this information was there. So we don't know from our end why that happened, but you're led to something. And if you're doing it, make sure that it's there. So by publishing it, even if you say you are, make sure that it's there. So we have to discuss pricing sometimes. And I'd mentioned earlier that we can't be all things to all people. And we think back to the haircut. That's my favorite. I want highlights today, but I can only afford the cut. Is to be able to have discussions to say, I am worthy as a business offering a service. But if people want to cut us off at the knees all around price, you have things to offer. You're extremely high quality or extremely low prices. You can't have one and the other. So if you are a low cost provider, you know who your clients are. If you want folks that have a high quality mindset, serving them at a low price isn't necessarily a good pricing model. So thinking of that, and I suggest you do some of your research on your own and what's an effective marketing strategy around pricing. And some of us are total solution focused and where we provide all kinds of solutions. Another is we are simply low cost. That's how we do business. And sometimes we're product only focused and we're maybe necessarily support or price isn't a thing, but it's all about the product. So there are different ways that we can look at pricing and just think about what it is that you offer. So we had our calls here. The first one was, it's my overhead, huh? Hun, that's not a valid answer to a pricing question. Next was calling out our competitor and literally providing the phone number for that. I'm surprised he didn't even just transfer her over there. And then not knowing your pricing. That was number one. So it's really important that we're able to articulate what our offer is. So that's it for today. I appreciate your attention as always. And I'm sad that we weren't live today. I really had a lot of fun with that. But that being said, you'll have to just see the recording of me. And as you know, we do have our recorded episodes on our website at deadringers.co. So our next Cringeworthy Calls is what we're calling our Phone Etiquette Fright Fest, my favorite holiday, Halloween. So you never know, I might be in costume. So we will be meeting up live this time on Thursday, October 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love for you to register. And it's at deadringers.co /cringeworthy. And we'd love to have you as a part of that. And if you follow us on Facebook, we will go Facebook Live with this. So hope you can join us and hope you learned a lot today about pricing. And I mentioned a lot about the 6 pillars today. So our suggestion is to go back and kind of watch through those particular episodes as well. It really feeds into everything that we're doing and providing good phone etiquette and good phone experiences for people that call in this. So welcome to fall and we will see you. Bye-bye.